I was never gonna be a men's physique.
Didn't have much of an off season.
I like his physique better.
I'm always very energetic. I will have to put me as one of the greatest.
Mr. Olympia was won by the back.
Hey Antoine, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man?
Good to meet you, man.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Absolutely.
Good job on the. Yeah, good job on the films.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for doing the interview today, man.
Yeah, no problem. What's your next movie?
The next one comes out next month. It's called Bigorexia. It's about a condition called bigorexia. It's like a body dysmorphia.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's not really a bodybuilding film, but it's more like about the psychological condition. But a lot of the bodybuilders, I guess, they suffer from that as well. So it's like a take on that. You know.
Yeah, to some extent, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So first of all, Antoine, congratulations on winning the California championship, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
How was the experience, man? Because I saw you guys wearing masks. That was interesting. I was talking to Max Charles about it the other day. It was different. It looked.
Max Charles actually had a valve in his, and I didn't. So at some point we had to I had to call the judge, because the judges said that, well, the promoter said, if you're running out of breath because of the mask, just call and we'll give you a break. So I called the break, but Max didn't want to. He wanted to keep going, and there would be no points removed. So I just took the break because my mask was actually, I was breathing so hard, it would go in my mouth, and because of the sweat or whatever, it wasn't breathing properly. So I had a really hard time. It was harder than usual because of the mask. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It was mandatory. It was like requirement, right? You couldn't be on stage without a mask.
Yeah, like in Vegas, they were pretty strict with all that stuff. Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, congratulations on the win, man. What was the prep like, getting ready for a competition like this during the pandemic?
Are we recording right now or no?
Yeah, we're recording. Yeah.
Okay, cool. The prep. Well, I was prepping for Boston Pro at first, and Chicago, and then they canceled Boston, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened when they canceled Boston? I was like, I only got Chicago, I guess. It was the last qualifying thing for the Olympia. Then my girlfriend Sam, she said, like, well, why don't you jump in Cali in New York? You're looking pretty good. And I said, And Cali was in like less than 4 weeks. So my coach, Jordan Hamilton, I asked him, he said, well, I think you could do it. If there's one guy, it's probably you. So then he gave me a new plan, and I just went full like crazy, and I just did everything that I could. I was doing power yoga every day, 60 minutes. I would do cardio in the morning, 40 minutes, but I would do steady states with my heart rate over 130, and I had my weight training session in between the two. And after doing that, like I would do 6 days in a row like that, and I would take a break, and I would try to do the yoga again. I did like probably 8 sessions of yoga in 10 days, and I did cardio every day, and the weight training, my normal split, which was like 6 days a week. And just in those 10 days, I got shredded, right, like already. And then Doran said, whoa, like, all right, let's back off. Pull out the cardio and then feed me more. Because for me, it's like getting, I think, a good condition is not really a problem. And from what I've seen in New York, it's more I got to be bigger and fuller up top, right? So, yeah. So I was ready for. I got ready for New York. So I was like, you know what? If we're already going to Cali, and it's just my friend Quentin was competing in New York, I'll just jump in New York and see what's up. And so I decided to do the show 3 weeks out, not even.
Wow.
New York. Yeah, and then I did the Cali. So we had to. I really pushed hard with the training and the intensity. Well, the whole prep, I always make sure I do my best, but those 10 days were pretty like hard. Like I would end my day on the couch, sometimes in the dark, just like not even be able to watch a show. People who prep hard, they understand that you don't even have the attention span to watch a show on Netflix. So it was pretty hard, but then we kind of backed off everything, and then we did New York and then Cali.
Well, it paid off, man.
Yeah, it did pay off, and I'm pretty happy because for me, it's like I've been a pro since 2012, and I didn't do shit for a little while after that, and then I came back in 2018, and then I had the injury, and then there was a lockdown. Then it was like those shows. So I was like, I just want to compete. I just wanted to compete, no matter the outcome. I just wanted to do my best, show my hard work, and put on a show on stage.
Was it a tough battle in Cali? You against Max?
I think so, because Max's strong points like his chest and arms, or like my weak points. And my strong point, which is my legs, and I guess detail a little bit, like separation, was like his like weak point, especially the legs, right? So it was kind of like I didn't expect, because I got 7th in New York Pro the week before, and I was like, you know what, I'd like to just improve myself and do my best. I didn't have any expectations, but I just knew that I had to just give my all. And what happened is that I was flat in New York, and my posing was like not making me look good. Some of the poses, I was making myself look small too much on some poses. So then we carved up for like from 2 days out to New York Pro all the way to Cali. I probably ate over 10,000 grams of carbs total.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was 3 pounds heavier in Cali, but the 3 pounds when you're super lean, it shows in fullness, right? So my posing was also better. So I think that's why I went from 7th to 1st, because I drastically improved. And some of the guys actually, I think, faded, like back-to-back shows are kind of hard. I think some of the guys that I beat in Cali that beat me in New York just kind of like regressed a little bit, and I did the opposite. And I know that judges like improvements, and they don't like, when people like don't show up like as good as the show before.
Yeah, but it's amazing. You went from 7th in 1 week, and next week you get 1st. That's great.
I don't know if it's ever been done in like a week. Like in the history of bodybuilding, right? I'm like, oh, cool, babe. I did a little like a personal record there or something, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna do the Olympia, right? You qualify.
Yeah, I'm qualified. So I don't know how it works now. It's my first Olympia. So do I have to email them, get the contract, sign it up or something? But I'm going to do all that for sure. And I'm pretty pumped. It's like, it's going to be 13 weeks out this weekend. And I'm pretty motivated. I got good encouragements from a lot of people with experience in the industry. And I need to believe in myself more now. Like, you know what? I'm part of the best bodybuilders in the world. Like, that's like, I guess that's a fact. So I gotta put that in my head, because me, I've always been hard on myself, and you're making the movie there, Bigger Ricks, but I've been pretty hard on myself, and sometimes I've been my worst bully. So I gotta just get out. I just gotta change my mindset now. You know what? I can beat some of those guys. Like even the top guys, I gotta look at something on them that I can beat them on. And like I know I have good legs, right? So I can like play with that, or my conditioning, all that stuff. And I'm gonna make sure that what made me win in Cali, I can make that happen more in Olympia. More fullness, more size on upper body, and I'm just gonna work really hard and just do my best.
For sure, man. I want to take a step back real quick and talk about your beginning in the industry. I read something about you that after you became a pro, you got on drugs, you became a drug addict, and then you became homeless. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, what happened is that so I had a girlfriend before I was turning pro during the prep, and then we broke up 3 weeks out, and I was like, I'll just do my show. They won me some meal, and then I was pretty proud of myself because I won my pro card, right? And I was 25 years old. But then you know what happened? I was like, you know what? Because I like to party a little bit back in the day. I said, you know what? I think I deserve to party. I felt entitled that I should be, celebrating. And the only way I knew back then was just get and get girls and stuff, right? So I started doing that, and because I quit my job at the same time that I broke up, just to focus on my prep more, I was working as a trainer in the gym. Now I had more money with my sponsorships. I had more money. I felt like I had to party, and I felt like I was, on top of the world. And then I had no schedule. So if I want to party on a Tuesday afternoon, who parties on a Tuesday afternoon? Criminals, escorts, strippers, all that kind of people who don't have a strict discipline and structured lifestyle. So I would start hanging out with the wrong people, and you become what your environment like gets in you, right? So I kind of like started my downward spiral. And then at some point, I started doing drugs, and I just couldn't stop. Because if you do something every day, like if you do something once, you're good. There's a slim chance you could do it twice. But if you do something twice, big chance you do it a third time. If you do something 3 times, pretty much sure you'll do it a 4th time. Sure. So the more you do every day, it becomes a habit in your brain. The connections in your brain become like more enforced, more solid, and especially if there's a instant reward and gratification involved. So let's say if you do some drugs and then boom, right away you feel really good. You don't think your brain remembers that? It's like a dog. You give them a fucking cookie after they sit down. Well, he says sit. He's gonna sit right away. He's gonna start salivating. So every time I would do drugs pretty much almost every day. I would stop a little bit on weeks on end, but I would never last too long because I would lose some muscle. Then I would train back 2-3 weeks, and I would gain the muscle back really quick because of my genetics. And I'd be like, oh, I can afford a weekend. Should have been a weekend of party, but it was never a weekend. I could never stop because the connections in my brain. I was addicted. Addiction, that's what it is. It's just the pathways in your brain, and then you have a void inside you're trying to fill with something exterior. And that's why I was doing drugs also, is because inside I was not feeling good, even if I was not conscious about it yet. I was feeling like, I guess I was still feeling afraid and unworthy, like when I was a kid, and I was the feeling of abandonment and stuff. And then I used drugs and people to have validation to make me feel like I was feeling loved and just appreciated and just like I was worth something. But that's just like, I learned all that with the rehab and stuff and a lot of work on myself, but that's how I became addicted. Sometimes it's just, but it's all my fault. I'm not giving excuses. Sometimes people say like, yeah, you know, whatever, you could have just stopped and stuff or whatever, it's your choices. Yeah, it's all my fault. But when people who are addicted, they would know that you feel powerless over your brain. You might for a few days not do it. At that's the point, yeah, something happens, you get a strong emotion, and then your brain knows the quickest way to make you feel good. It wants that more than anything else in the world. It wants that more than your family, more than your friends, more than your future. It's all you think about. You're obsessed with getting your fix. So yes, it was my fault, but yes, I was powerless over it. And that's why I needed help. That's why people who suffer with drug addiction, they're like, oh, look at this fucking junkie in the street. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. You never know their story. Like, yeah, it's their fault. I was a loser. It was my fault, my mistakes. But it's the drug and the obsession and the cravings to feel better, and the brain knows only the quickest way, which is drugs, is stronger than them. So that's why they need. That's why I needed outside help, and it took me a little bit to understand that. But at some point, I just was like, after my friend died on Christmas Eve 2014, overdose and stuff. I said, all right, party's over. And then I met this girl and stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna move to Toronto. And the thing is that I said, my friend died, party's over, it's not fun anymore. 2 weeks later, I get like, how's that work? Am I stupid? It's just that I couldn't stop. Then I tried to stop. I moved to Toronto, and I would lie. Of course, when you're a drug addict, you lie, you scheme it away. You could want to hide it because you're kind of like, you don't want people to be upset. You don't want people to know because you don't want people to stress out people either. And whatever excuse it is, you got to find an excuse to do it, right? But then I was like, she caught me. I was like passed out in my car or something somewhere. And there was like find my friends on my phone. And then she said, you know what? You can't stop. You got to go to rehab. And then I waited a second and I was like, actually, I tried a bunch of times by myself. Like, what? Sure, I'll try to rehab. Because me, I'm always willing to try new stuff. I don't care. And you got to, but the thing is, like, a lot of people, their ego, they're going to keep them in the state of mind that I can do it myself. Like, fuck off. I never really had that. I was like, you know what? The facts are there. I mean, I can't stop, and I'm ruining my career and my life. So yeah, I'll go do the rehab. But I did 4 rehabs in less than 2 years. So it took a lot of work.
What drug were you addicted to exactly? What was the drug?
Just stimulants in general. And in the program, they tell us to just talk in general about drugs so more people can relate. Because if I would say like, oh, I'm smoking this kind of drug and some guy's just drinking, you won't be able to relate as much to the stories. Yes, to help people. Like, that's why in the program we say drug of choice. But it's just like I was awake for days. I was just like a stim junkie, right? So it's like you can whatever it was, but yeah, I was never the guy who wanted to be numb and just like slow. I wanted to be like my personality. I wanted to just be more. I felt it making me more like even more of me. Like imagine me on drugs, all crazy. Like I must be like really annoying, but I really like to be like wired like that.
How did you end up being homeless?
Well, what happened at some point before my third rehab, at some point I was in Toronto. I tried to just everything is melted together. I was in Toronto and I had to go to a rehab in Montreal. And I didn't want to move all my stuff, so I told my friend, you know what? I'll give you 20%, sell it out. Sell it all. I'll give the money to go and save it. Really? You think that's what I did? Every time we would sell the furniture, I would get the money, buy drugs. So I just pretty much used all my furniture in drugs back in Toronto. I had nothing left, and I let the place trashed out, like holes in the I was insane. And then I went to Montreal. I went to the rehab, and I did that. I remember that relapse was so crazy because it lasted 2 months. The bender was 2 months long, and I kept like trying to go. I tried like 4 or 5 times to stop during that time, and I couldn't. And I went to 2 different rehabs, and one time I escaped and stuff, and another time is like it was just crazy. And but then at some point, it was on December 2016. Yeah, I think that's what 2016. It was like raining early December, and I just got in a fight with my friend. Like we were like in how do you call those places? Not a brothel, but like those sex places you can rent, and there's just like people like they naked. But the reason why I was there because you can rent a room for cheap, and it's 24 hours, and you can just party or whatever, right? So I got in a fight with my friend naked in the locker room because he thought he stole from me. This is all like crazy drug stories that makes you realize like if your drugs are not always like cool, like hey, Dan Bilzerian and like smoking weed, it's fun, sometimes it just goes like bonkers. All right, so I fighting naked with my friend, and I said he was strangling me. He says, you know what? I think I'm gonna just punch him and knock him out, and then I'm gonna leave, so that way he just sleeps and I can just leave. So I swing at him, but I think I hit him here, and I didn't hit properly because I was high and I'm not a fighter. So, and he went down, he went back up right away. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. And then he just punched me like 15 times. That's why I have a scar here. He punched me 15 times on the head probably, and this was all open. I thought my eyes was like hanging here because it was all red, and I was like full of blood. I said, all right, relax, and I just kicked him, pushed him on the ground, and then the cops came. There was blood everywhere, and then I put my tracksuit on and I go outside, and I only had like $17, and I had drugs in my pocket, and I just had a small tracksuit. It was pouring rain in December in Montreal, and I was like, you know why I was angry? Because I was like, who wants to party with a guy with a fucked up head like that? That's where my mind was went. I was trying to keep going. So then I was trying to get a cab, but who's going to pick up a guy at like 7 a.m. in like the weird streets of some parts of Montreal who's bleeding all over the place? So nobody would pick me up. And then I went to a laundry place that was open, and I said, I need some help. Can you guys call me a cab? The cab came, and I kind of walked sideways so you wouldn't see all the destruction on this part. I got in the car, then I ended up going to the hospital. And I was like, I was sitting in the house because I was thinking, like, you know what? Maybe it hit me so hard that maybe I have a bleeding in my brain that I could die. So I was like, and then I went to my mom's place, right? So I was like, I'll go with my mom to the hospital. Sitting in the hospital, I was like, fuck, this is boring. This is all my mind was. I always wanted stimulation. I didn't want to stop. But that beating that I got was a blessing. Because listen, I had $17 in drugs, and I want to keep going. Where does it go? Mm-hmm. And I had no place to live anymore, man. I had nothing. Just a few things in storage that a friend of mine was holding for me, but it was worth nothing. So I had nowhere to go. So I went to rehab, and then after that, so that was before my fourth one.
It's a crazy story, man.
Yeah, because the homeless part, there was 2 times. There was that time where I was like, I had to go to rehab or else because of my beating, but I wanted to keep going. And I was couch surfing. They call that, is that before getting my beat up, I was going from one party to another, to a hotel room to hang out with this escort and this and that. And I just wanted to keep going, right? So you weren't going nowhere to go. Sometimes I would be at Tim Hortons. It's a coffee place in Canada. It would be like 5 a.m. I would go on my phone. I was trying to find a place to go to party. But like, it's like I'm just at Tim Hortons with a backpack full of drugs and I don't have a place to live. What does that sound like? Fucking homeless person. And then before that, what happened is after my 3rd rehab, they sent me to a recovery home, they thought. But they actually sent me to a program that I have a room in a shelter, like Salvation Army. She f***ed up. It's like, you're going to send me to, it was their mistake. It's a real mistake. They sent me straight to the worst place. All the homeless people there are on drugs, or have mental problems. And I was eating with them every day with a little tray, like it's like, it was crazy. And sometimes I would have to choose my place to sit in front of somebody who wouldn't cut my appetite. It was that sad. And so I stayed there a month because I paid it and I had nowhere else to stay. And that's where I was living. I was in Hamilton, Salvation Army in New York. For those who are from Hamilton, York Boulevard, Salvation Army, this is where I was staying for a month. But then after that, I went to recovery home for a month, and then I went to stay with my friend and my coach now, Dorian Hamilton. So he helped me out for sure a number of times. But I didn't relapse then because I was like, if I f up now at the lowest level of society, where does this go? You can't get lower than that, being homeless in a shelter. So then I went to my rehab and stuff. But after that, after my 3rd rehab, this happened. But then I relapsed again after that. So then the story with the getting beat up was like at the end of that bender. And then I went to my 4th rehab, and then I was fine. I was like, I think I learned now. Since then, there's been a few slips, but I always catch myself. It's tough with the crazy hard drugs and stuff. And now my mindset is so different. It's like I would never want to go back there because it's like, the thing is, even if I want to do drugs, that's why I learned through the last mistakes I did. If I want to do drugs, the craving of doing drugs is weaker, is strong, very strong, sometimes, not anymore, but at first. But if I start doing drugs, the feeling of wanting to do more is 1,000 times stronger than the feeling of wanting to do it in the first place. So it's like, I want to do it a little bit, but if I start doing it, even if I stop, there's 3 weeks where all I think about, more than food, more than sex, more than my family, my mom, my trip bodybuilding, is I want to get high. So even if right now I would go out and do all the drugs I want and stop in 2 days, for 3 weeks, I would have to be in a jail cell. You understand? I would have to be like supervised because my brain would go straight back to what it was before.
You have an addictive personality, basically.
Yeah.
Genetic.
Yeah. So I need to channel that, right? I got an obsessive personality. I can get obsessed and about stuff, but if it's channeled properly, like with bodybuilding, and it's like healthy and there's balance into it, it can be really good. Like if you're into movies and cinema, you're probably like obsessed about that a little bit. You're gonna put a lot of time in your head. There's a lot of like real estate in your head. That's like movies, Station Iron movies. So for me, I need to fill that space with like bodybuilding, content, having fun with my friends. It's just like I gotta replace that and be obsessed with like other stuff. Like I want to get my glutes stripped. I would touch my ass like all day. Like, do you have folds in my ass? Like, do I have like fat still? Like touching. Like, and then I would be obsessed with that. And then my coach would be like, "Hey, relax. Your glutes are just flat. There's no fat there, because sometimes your mind plays tricks. And I was obsessed with conditioning a little bit too much because at New York I was conditioned, but I was flat. So now I learned, with some of my mistakes. But yeah, I got an obsessive personality for sure, and a personality, but I think that's also. It comes from what I did before. If I felt like worthless when I was younger, and I'd use external things to fill my void, and then I found one that really works, and I kept doing that for a while. Anybody can be addicted. People who don't have addicted personalities, it's probably they don't have the same void, or they're addicted to something they don't know. Like they're not aware of it. Maybe it's watching TV. Like if you're watching Netflix, binging on series, you're filling a void here. You're like just like, yeah, it's like you're just sitting there. Every day you do it. There's a show that ends. Oh, I get it's like you get excitement. That's like it's all like chemical going on in your head. Like if you would be shooting up drugs, right? So, people are addicted to a lot of stuff, but they're just not aware of it. And a lot of stuff happens like they just go to work and then they start watching TV until they go to bed. But it's like saying that there's a functional alcoholic. We call that is that they're gonna go to work and drink and maybe drink at night, but they're gonna go to work and make money and those guys sometimes what happens is they don't think they have a problem. I'm okay. I'm making money and stuff but in reality they're like ruining their life in other ways in health and maybe their family and social and stuff. And so there's so many like gray areas to addiction. It's not only about drugs, and I think a lot of people are addicted to something without knowing it because sometimes it doesn't do as much damage as like alcohol or like hard drugs, right? So
I agree with you. So how long did your drug infused years last? Was it 4-year period?
Well, I started partying when I was 20, but I could control myself. Once a month, whatever, I was fine. But when I won my pro card because I had no more job, like I said, my schedule was all messed up and I started hanging out with the wrong people. I started doing almost every day, and that was right after 2012. So like 2013, 14, 15, 16 were all like me trying to, especially 2013, 14 was like just my crazy party, like craziest party time.
And were you still going to the gym through all those, like through your most,
No. When I was high, the last thing I wanted to do was like sleep or train. I was like, F that. I want to get girls, party, and get crazy. And because, I didn't want to train. It's weird. Like I didn't want to train at all when I was high. I was like, F that.
Have you ever been high at the gym ever?
Yeah. I would go with my friends wanted to go. My friends, people I was hanging out with. Right. So I would go, but it's like I want to get out of there. I would get a plumb, whatever. But most of the time I wasn't going. And so I would lose the muscle. Then I would feel really bad, stop 2-3 weeks, go to the gym, eat, and then I would gain 15 pounds. And then like I said, I would be like, all right, I think I could do 1 day or 2, And then I would cycle, would keep yo-yo, like I would keep doing that with my weights. I would not improve. And
you stopped competing, right?
I tried to do a show 2013 at the beginning of my descent, and I just horrible. Last place, New York. Last place, Toronto. And after that, I was like, because I signed the shows, right? Because I thought after this shit, I guess I got to do that. But I tried to do my best dealing with addiction. It was horrible showing. And so those 2 shows, I don't even count them as my pro debut. My real pro debut was Toronto 2018 in my head,
That was your comeback year.
Yeah. That was after so 2017 I got out of rehab, and then just a year later I competed, I guess, almost. And I got 4th in Toronto. Yeah, so that was my comeback. And for me it was really important because I was like, number of times I would say online, all right, I'm making a comeback. People kind of knew because I was, 2015, when my friend died, I kind of said why I was away for a little while and stuff. And I mentioned, you get addicted and stuff. And so people knew because I was open with it. Because in my head, I thought I was able to stop. But I didn't. It didn't work right away.
Did the sponsors drop you? People turn your backs on you when you were going through that?
First, they tried to hang with me for my first rehab. And then my second one, they just dropped me. It's like, no. And I understand. It's like, why would they want to give money to this guy? So they just dropped me. Right Aware dropped me, and Arnold Strength they dropped me. But you know what's good? Like both Right Aware and Arnold Strength, they got me back when I was better. And
you came back. You restored the relationship, right?
Yeah, because I've been with the Arnold Strength. They do belts, straps, equipment, knee wraps, and now they're gonna do power racks also. They were with me since 2010 or 11, and so I just was honest with them. They said, no problem, just get better, and after we'll, be there for you. And because the guys are really good, they're French Canadian like me. So yeah, so after when I was back, they got me back in there, and now I'm still with them. And right away the same thing. They dropped me, then they got me back, and they were not sure. And then now they, because I'm good, I never stop again. I'm still with them. And my other sponsor, I didn't have any sponsors at first, but when I did the Toronto after that, Aaron Sigerman from Redcon won. He had a similar story as me. Like he was also
fanatic,
he's open about it. And so he kind of related to me, and he was like, I believe in you, and he gave me a contract, and I was able to train and stuff, and now I'm actually with HD Muscle, HD, it's supposed to say HD, I don't know if it's reversed right now, so I just left Redcon 1, and on good terms, I think, and now I'm part of HD Muscle, and we're on the rise. If you know about all the content we've been doing, it's pretty cool. So so with the sponsors, they did drop me. Yeah, I lost everything. I had nothing.
I mean, if you really think about it, you went through very dark times, and you made a very strong comeback. Right now, you should be on top of the world. You just won a good competition. You qualified for the Olympia. You have the sponsors. You're doing really well. I mean, that's a blessing,
It is a blessing, and you know what? Also, this dark times taught me to be more grateful. It also taught me that it's a blessing also because I thought it was a curse before, but now it's a blessing because just by talking about it like I'm doing to you right now, because I'm always pretty open about it. Like talking to you right now is gonna help. It helps people. So I have a gift that I have, that I can help people with that now, and just talk to them. People reach out to me on Instagram. They say they got sober because of me, and I'm helping them, and that's just me being me. So it's like I should talk about it, and when I can, I do, when it makes sense, and it helps people. So that's a gift that I have now because of the curse I had before, and also because I got a lot of people's attention on Instagram and the followers and the subscribers, all that stuff. It's like, okay, I got people's attention here. What can I do with that? That's good. Just help people, motivate people, and entertain them. So I try to be really to do good with the attention that I have, because what's a Spider-Man quote? With great power comes great responsibility. Like if you have like power of influence, because now bodybuilders, a lot of them are influencers and YouTubers. If you have power and influence, you have a responsibility to make the world better, in my opinion. Make the world a little bit better. Even if it's like 0.01%, you should make it better. And anybody can make the world a better place just by holding the door and smiling to somebody. You made it like 0.0000001% better. I go with that, and so when I reflect, like I said, the dark times before and now I'm back, is that for sure it's cool, and I don't realize. I always forget that I won a pro show doing the Olympia. So when you mentioned it, I actually forgot, but it didn't sink in yet. I guess it's gonna sink in more when I go back home and start prepping and be like, 13 weeks out, Mr. O, and it's gonna. But I realized, because I did other interviews also, and then when I watched them again and I hear them people talk, it's like, oh wait a minute, I did lose everything, was homeless 2 times, stayed in a shelter, and I could have died a bunch of times, and then I come back, and then the following year that I come back, 2019, I tear my bicep, 2 weeks out from, so I tore my fucking bicep the year after I come back, and I was like motivated. And then,
how'd you tear it?
Huh?
How'd you tear it? What happened? It was too heavy.
I was on the ground. I wasn't training. I was in the gym.
Oh.
I was in gym training, but there was something on the ground. I tried to jerk it to remove because we're doing renovation at the gym, and I was too into the exercise. I want to do some deadlift. Let's move that away. And dude, that fucking thing just like Velcro, snapped. And I was like, Then I called my coach because we're training all together, and right away I went on my knees on the floor and I cried a little bit because I was like, oh no, I was so afraid of what was unknown, right? And that was fucked up. I mean, for 5 hours, for a part of the day, I was really down. But then I was like, because when you beat addiction, there's nothing really like that you think you can't do. Because it was the hardest thing in my life was to stop using drugs. It took 4 rehabs in 2 years and a lot of like fucking failures. So the bicep was like, you know what? I'm still alive and stuff. I can still, I'll just do my best to fix this. I'll do my best to fix that. And then I started training 2 days later with the calves and the legs. And I was training my left side the whole time. And then I got surgery 10 days later. Right away, I was doing cardio. I was training my legs, left side, because there's a theory that if you train your one side, the other one retains more. So I would just do everything that I could to just get back. And then I would slowly move my arm and then hold 10 pounds on the preacher, isometric, less than 90 degrees, and then just turn like that. Like, it would hurt. I got an infection in my scar.
No.
And I think in 6 months I could train super light, the stuff like one plate on a hammer strength, like press, like super light stuff, and like I was careful with my bicep, and slowly training a little bit, like more and more and more, and then at some point I was okay to train. I'm like, you know what? There's some shows coming up. I think it was September 2019. So I tore my arm in May 2019. May, June, July, August, September. So it was October, beginning of October. I was like 5th month going in. I was like, I think I could train a bit more. Now, because I'm small, obviously, because I couldn't train properly, and I'm a bit fat, I mean, I gotta get some muscle on as fast as possible. I ate as much food as I could until December 18th when I started my prep. I went from, I think I was 280 something. I went up to 330. Wow. I went up to 330 pounds. It was horrible. I couldn't put my socks in the morning. It was horrible. And then I started dieting.
Right.
And I was going down. I lost like 20 pounds in like 10 days. Of course, all the water. And I started dieting. And then I was like 6 weeks out from, I don't know, Brazil or something. Pandemic, lockdown. But everybody suffers from that, not just me, and we are adjusting today, But so I shut it off, and then I turned it back on when the shows Boston Pro came back on, right? So I'll do that, and then that got canceled. That's why I did the ones, and I guess I ended up winning Cali Pro. Yeah, pretty much what happened. Yeah.
I want to ask you about the state of the men's open division. It seems like the men's open division, the state of it right now. Do you feel like it's the state of the men's open division? Yeah. Do you feel like it's on a decline? It seems like you guys being criticized a lot by the old school guys constantly. People saying the quality went down. Some people saying other divisions are coming up. How do you feel about men's open currently?
The thing people don't understand is, let's say if you take some guys from the past. There was a few years there was like a bunch of guys who were good. LeBron, Flex Wheeler, Ronnie Coleman, a lot of guys, Sean Reid, all those guys. But the thing is, like, yes, they look good, but I think they were smaller than you think, for one. And I think sometimes the lighting and the VHS quality has sharpness to the videos we see of them. So we think they're actually leaner than they really are. Because a lot of guys didn't have ripped glutes. It wasn't important back then. Like, I talked to Jay and stuff, and Flex Wheeler, they didn't even talk about ripped glutes back then. So you would get some of these guys on the stage today, and I don't think they would win as much. And
so it's an illusion. You think it's we just think that.
Yeah, and yes, to some extent. Some guys like Ronnie Coleman is never gonna. Ronnie is Ronnie, right? We can't argue with that. Dorian Yates was really good too, and Kevin LeBron is good also. But the thing is, like, if you put Kevin LeBron beside Phil Heath of 2011, sorry, he's getting smoked. Like, come on. So, and LeBron is one of my favorite bodybuilders, But so I think back then the genetics were a lot. For some reason, they were better because it was not all the other classes. All these other people who are doing the classes now would be trying to do bodybuilding, and then it would just be the elite. It was so much harder to be a pro back then, and there was less pro shows, also, because they would qualify and stuff. But the guys from the '90s, like before the waves got blown out. Of course, it looks a bit better. And when Ronnie 2003 went up to like whatever he was on stage, everybody tried to chase him. That was their mistake. You can't chase Ronnie. Jay tried and he got really big and he was the closest guy. Then he won the Olympia, so he's the only one who kind of did it. But all the other guys who tried to chase his size, like we're not that good. I think they were really good. Like Nasser was really good, but I think from the back he wasn't ripped enough to be for today. He would get smoked. As today with the conditioning is so much better. I think with some of the top guys. Some people try to do the size game also, but are they winning? Like, look at Cali. I wasn't the biggest. I mean, I was 263 on stage, but I wasn't the biggest. But my separation was the best. And I think people who have good conditioning get rewarded. I think so, and I think the men's open. The guys now, if you take just this year's Olympia, and there was another Olympia also that. When Jay was there, like Phil Heath was there was a lot of guys there were a lot of really good guys. What happens sometimes, you go back in the 90s or something where people they talk about the 90s. If you go out of the top 4, the rest they would not even be pros today. You understand? A lot of them, like the rest, like from like 5 to like 12, like who were they? Were they really good? Like, also, you say the pros are on decline. Yeah, what about, maybe there was like 6 guys who are really good right now would still be winning shows. But what about the rest of the guys? Like, were they good? We don't even know who they are. It's like, I think bodybuilding is going at some point when like, the size is important and the waist got blown out a little bit. I don't like the big waist. I get paranoid with that for myself. But so I do like the smaller waist. But I like dense muscle too. I like size too. I like combination. I think bodybuilding is because when they give the Olympia to Sean, I guess they want to make a statement. Because personally, Phil Heath for me was so much just more harder and stuff. It's just the waist control. So I guess their judging criteria, like even when you're not posing, you gotta fucking always be presenting yourself. Like Flex Wheeler told me, because he helped me with my posing. The camera's always on. You should never let everything loose, and they should always be sharp. Boom, boom. So yeah, I guess he got penalized for that, but I like Phil Heath's physique. The 2011 Phil Heath, amazing. I think it's like one of the best Mr. Olympias, the physique one.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. His glutes and hams, just everything is like there. So I think the pros today, this year's Olympia, you understand who's the top 5 is already like on the picture. Like, I mean, I'm gonna hope for the best for myself and think like I need to train like I would win it, even though it's like who am I going against here? Top Phil Heath is there, Mr. Olympia. Dexter Jackson, Mr. Olympia. Brandon Curry, Mr. Olympia. I think Sean doing it. Flex Lewis, 7 times 212, Mr. Olympia. So that's like 4 guys, and then you want to add like after that there is the Hadi, like Rami. There's
Winkler, probably.
Yeah, Rolly Winkler. If he gets his conditioning down, very dangerous. So it's like the top 5 is like top 6 is like pretty much like cracking the top 6 is gonna be like this year's Olympia is like getting second at another Olympia almost.
Sure, but the question is, I was talking to Kai Green about this, right? And the main question is, how is the judging gonna exactly? What's the criteria for winning in this year specifically? Because you have Phil Heath and you have Brandon Curry completely different, and then Sean Roden is completely different from them. As far as the body type goes. So how what I mean? It's very difficult.
Well,
I think.
If Phil Heath fixed the problem that the judges saw in him with the waist control, like he's got everything that the other guys have if he has the small abs and more. His separation better. If he becomes like good like before, like 2011, like I said, even 2009 when he got like I think fifth or something, 2009. I think he's gonna beat them. But the thing is, that's my opinion, right? I like dance, muscle, separation, and his legs are better than the other guys. But the thing with Brady Curry is looking pretty fucking swole right now, and he's adding some size, and his waist is always good. So there's that. Sean Roden, I think he was really good at that. He always pulls it up at the end. Like, I don't know, because when I see him, it's like he's always like seems very relaxed and covered, and I think he's always like taking a break more than maybe the other pros. But then he always pulls it off like somehow, and it looks great. But I like big arms, separated arms, and Sean Roden's arms are not his best body part, but his legs are really good also. So I think Phil Heath has the arms and the legs, and he has more separation than Brendan. But if Brendan comes in bigger than before, you know, I think like it's gonna be a great Olympia. It's gonna be. I'm super pumped to be part of it. It's like seriously. As far as the judging goes, I don't know. They want the tight waist, right? They don't want like. But what the judges like the most, I think, is improvement. I've noticed that. Like if you improve a lot from one show to another, and let's say if you talk to the judges, what can I improve? What did I do wrong? And then they say this, and that. If you work on that and improve that, it makes sense you're going to go up in placings, especially if others don't improve or regress. So it all depends. And the thing with the pros that's kind of fun and cool is that if you look at me going from 7 to 1, it's like if you take any guy in the top 6 or 7 that's in good condition, they can make adjustment and go like change drastically. So the cool thing with top 6 and the Olympia, top 7, even top 10, is that a lot can change in between that, depending like if they nail it or not, or if they condition or not. So, I mean, they're gonna judge it with probably the same thing as usual: proportion, symmetry, conditioning, size, but the thing with the Olympia is that I think if you come flat, you can like for me if I go flat at the Olympia, last place.
But do you have pressure to put on a lot more size because those guys are they all mass monsters. Well, not all of them, but you know what I mean. They definitely have a lot of mass. Do you have that pressure?
I don't have pressure, but I know I have to add more muscle. But the thing is that I have a bigger frame than a lot of those guys, so that's why I look smaller. Because let's say if my fucking knee is big like that, I need this much more leg and calf. If my wrist is like big like that, I need much more forearm and arms to look round like Brendan Curry, or because even Hassan Mustafa, Hassan Mustafa, he got sick sadly. Yeah, he was such a trooper for still competing. He looks gigantic, but in person, I'm like, wait a minute, he's not a big guy. Like Remy is a big for his height. He has a big frame. Steve Kuklo, there you go. That's a big boy. Dennis McCarver, that's a big boy. But I gotta be at their size pretty much to make any damage at that level, right? So yeah, I gotta add more size. But the thing is, like I said, I've been bodybuilding for 3 years now properly, and I had a bicep tear during this time. So I know I can add more size. Like when I was 268 this morning, and then yesterday I was a little bit heavier. And when I'm pumped up, now I was like, what the hell? Why was I, like now we kind of learned me and my coach that I can actually be bigger and fuller with the same conditioning because I know my glutes are still ripped, and I'm like bigger. And then yes, I'm retaining water, of course, but if you eat a lot, that's why the guys sometimes have the bloated stomachs, I think, because they eat so much food. They want to spill over it, then they remove the water and they get that full look. But then the waist, if you don't digest the food, it's going to be bloated. But me, even though I eat 10,000 grams of carbs in 9 days, my digestion stays really good. There's a few things that I've learned. I'm like, wow. It's like there's a lot of stuff people do. Maybe they're doing mistakes and slow down the digestion. And me, I think my digestion was so good. It's like sometimes I was like maintaining or losing weight, eating like a pound of rice with 30 grams of sugar from honey every meal.
Do you have generally a good appetite?
Oh yeah, I'm always starving. Always starving. Even like during carb up, I was like, 2 hours for my next meal? Like even yesterday, I ate like all my diet, 300 grams of rice and per meal. And that, for me, that's like a normal day when I'm dieting, by the way, like 300 grams of rice per meal. And I was like, shit, I want to eat that cookie there, in the fridge. And Like I'm 14 weeks out, you know, like I'll just mention like I kind of want to eat that cookie, Dorian, because I'm with him. We're in Tennessee right now for an event. He said no. I was so hungry. I was so hungry. I wanted to eat that fucking cookie. And when every time I'm really hungry though, the next day I know I lose weight. Like I woke up, I landed here 2 days ago. I was 280 pounds. I was 268 this morning. So I lost 12 pounds in 2 days. Just to let you know that I think my muscles, they just burn a lot of energy for some reason. I don't know. I have a good metabolism.
What is your typical day like during prep? Like, what time do you wake up? Do you do cardio in the morning? How does your day go? How many times do you eat? You know?
Yeah. So I eat 6 times a day, and I had a post-workout shake with the Carb HD. It's our carb product with the EA, HD, our EA products, and a little mix there with some salt. But near the end of the prep, we would remove all supplements, right? But so I guess 6 meals plus that shake. And I wake up between 7 and 8. Sometimes I would try to wake up at that time, or 8 would be good because I guess I don't sleep as much in prep for some reason. And a lot of people can relate to that. But I try to take naps though. So I wake up at that time, and then I would at the end. I tell you at the end what I did, right? Wake up at that time. I make coffee, coffee of course, and I would put some techno on and then start posing, because when I decided to do the show, I thought I had like 8 more weeks to practice posing. I got 3 weeks, so I would wake up in the morning and I would pose for an hour, make my routine, and then I would lose some weight just posing.
Wow.
And then I would I think I would do cardio. So if I do cardio, I would pose less, but if I would not do cardio, I would keep posing. Then I would eat breakfast.
How long do you do cardio for? Half an hour?
You get in average, it would give me 40 minutes when we pushed, but normally 25. But I do steady state, but 130 beat per minute, my heartbeat per minute, high or higher.
Do you do elliptical or do you walk on treadmill?
My favorite is the Lazy Boy bike, because I can be on my phone and listen to music, and I can actually pedal really hard and get a good leg pump, and I can put my heart rate up really high with that. Or I was doing that, or the treadmill walking. But I would walk at like 3.5, 3.4 miles per hour, 7 incline. Yeah, so I would get my heart rate up with that also. So I would do a 25 to 40 minutes cardio, eat meal 1, and then I eat meal 2, go to the gym around 2, workout, post-workout, or meal 3, and then I would go back home, have meal 4 ready for me. And then I would cook meal 5 and 6 by themselves or in advance, and I would have the yoga at night usually also. Like I would have yoga at 7:30. So sometimes I would go back from the gym. I'd be like, I gotta go out again. That was when I was really pushing hard. If not, usually the yoga I would do on my off days, in the morning after breakfast. So it's on Tuesday. I get up, I pose, eat breakfast, power heart yoga, and then it would give me another 25 minutes and abs in the evening. So that's my off days. But yeah, so my training day was pretty much what I just said before, and then I would go to bed around sometimes too late. I get like distracted, but I try to go to bed by midnight.
Do you do carb cycling? Like one day you eat carbs, next day you don't eat carbs. Do you do that?
What we do with Dorian Hamilton, my coach, is that I'm gonna get up, set in my weight at the end, and then every day I would send him mandatories, all the mandatories posing. Then I would send that by 9 a.m. And then he would get it. He would see how I look, and then he would say, okay, same diet, or he would change it. He would always adjust with how I look and my weight, because I can't just do if you leave me a week with a plan and check it every week, I can really like lose weight fast. So we have to adjust every day, especially at the end. And because he's my friend and I see him every day, I can talk to him also. That's why for me, it's like he's one of the best coaches around. Like I think now people know that, and having him by my side all the time is like perfect for me. And that's why I actually stay in Burlington, is to be around the whole group there and the guys. So yeah, that's what I do. Like I would like just in the morning send the check-in video, send it, and he would send me with the diet.
Do you use any fat burners? What do you take on fat burners for cardio, or like just to lose weight?
Well, I use our Burn HD product, But I don't like too much caffeine, like, because for some reason, because I drink coffee in the morning. I love coffee, and I would sometimes have it in the afternoon. But if I have for some reason, like 5 weeks out and under, if I have coffee in the morning, then I have caffeine in my pre-workout, I would crash. It would make me crash. It was weird. It does the opposite. And I'm not the only one that does that. It does the opposite. So now I have like pre-HD Elite is our stimulant-free pre-workout. That is amazing. Because sometimes when you remove stimulants, the pump is even better because the caffeine sometimes constricts the blood vessels. And what you want in a pump is you want them loose so they can swell up, right? And like for dilated. So yeah, I use the Burn HD fat burner because it doesn't have a lot of caffeine. It's more like it plays with like other aspects of like fat burning, like cortisol, things like that. So yeah, but I used I didn't use like crazy fat burners, no.
What about, do you train one body part per week, or do you do like hit multiple times for the same body part?
I would do chest and back twice a week, I think. Let me find my split that I had, because I had a 6-day split near the end of the prep, because I would split my legs in two. I would split my legs in two, and the rest I would do once, I think. I think I can find it really quick here because I got a folder with all my stuff. It's going to be June 2020 split. Oh, that's one of them. Yeah, that's one of them.
So you train legs twice?
Yeah, I do train legs twice. So Monday legs, but it would be quads and more quads. And then Tuesday off, I would do yoga and cardio. Wednesday, chest and back. Thursday, shoulders, triceps. Friday, I would do hams and glutes. Saturday, back. Sunday, chest and biceps. So I would actually do chest and back twice. But the Wednesday one is a touch-up, a pump one. Should drive blood in there because it's chest and back are my weak points.
So you do two body parts per day. So how much time do you spend in the gym for each session?
If I don't keep myself in check, I can stay too long.
Right.
So Jordan Hamilton keeps me like, be under 80 minutes. Because I'm going to go on and just keep doing working sets because I like training, right?
Right.
So you tell me back off. Like even near the end, he would say 50 minutes. 50 minutes maximum training. So I keep the rest shorter, and I try to get as much work as in 15 minutes as done as possible. But yeah, I could work out 2 hours, but that's too much for me. I burn too much calories. I can burn 2,000 calories in one session. I burn too much calories. So he needs to. He keeps me in check and tells me to back off.
What advice would you give to a guy who wants to take bodybuilding seriously and succeed in the men's open division right now in the current state of bodybuilding?
Well, most of all, it's like, can you follow a diet? Can you eat like if you want to be a pro, can you eat like a pro, like at least 5-6 days a week? Can you all year? Can you do that? If you can't be disciplined and you can't train and do the diet and the cardio when you're not motivated, you're like, don't do it. Another thing also is that all the pros, most of them, I got great genetics. So if you start training and you don't gain a lot of muscle quickly, and then if you do your show and then you don't do good, you do horrible at your first show, you maybe don't have the best genetics to be a pro bodybuilder. But there's a lot of pros who started like that and became good pros with just pure hard work and dedication. So don't take my word for it. But for example, if you take Phil Heath, he plays basketball, starts weight training, he does a show, wins overall. And then Jay says, hey, you could be a future Miss Olympia. Takes a few years and he's Mr. O. So that's the best scenario.
He's
but
a
this
phenom,
guy,
though. Most guys are not going to be like him. He's a phenom, I would consider him.
Yeah, but for example, me, when I started training, I was 15 years old. I went from being 154 to 185 pretty quickly within 2 months. Sometimes I think in my head it's 30 days because I think I remember that, but it might be a little bit more than that. But I wouldn't gain 30 pounds. It wasn't fat. I just responded really quickly. And then I did my first show and I looked good. And then I won the junior nationals twice. Once at 18 years old and then the another time at 20 years old. And then I did the open, but I wasn't good. That was soft. Then I tried again, and I was 22, I think, 2009, yeah, 21, 22. And then I got fourth place in the heavyweights, and I was ripped, but I wasn't big at all. And then I did the overall amateurs at 23. I got second to the overall winner. And then I said, oh, from getting a pro card. And then I won my pro card the following year. So if you have good genetics, it shouldn't be hard to go up the ranks. If you're disciplined over that, you can get pretty far. You can't even follow a diet and train properly, like don't even bother. But if you have good genetics and you respond well, and then you know things are happening, maybe it is your path. But also if it's not working well for you, it's slower. As long as it's consistent, that's what's good. The most thing about bodybuilding is like, can you be consistent even when you're not motivated? Because motivation doesn't last. You think so? I always want to go do my cardio in the evening. Like when he gives me cardio in the evening, I'm like, because at the end, like I said, at the end of my days, I'm so tired. Like I drag myself to the gym and do it, even if I don't want to do it. Discipline is what lasts. Motivation comes and goes. You watch a Generation Iron movie, you're all motivated, you go to the gym, but how many times can you do that? How many movies do you have, right? So it's like at some point, just do the thing you gotta do no matter what. It's on the plan, just do it.
You know, a question we get sent a lot, and I think a lot of people want to know, what is the secret to, if you want to bulk up, you want to have the frame on you, but you still want to maintain shredded abs? What's the secret to like bulking, but not getting too fat? What's the, you know what I'm saying? How do you do that?
Yeah, I think it's not bulking. Bulking, it's like depending. Some people think about bulking. Oh, I gotta fucking stuff my face and just get as big as possible, right? You gotta get fat if you do that. I'm gonna get fat if I do that. Like for real, some people have good genetics, but me, if I eat whatever I want, like I tried to do that kind of with like when I went to 330, and I was eating a lot of clean food though. It wasn't junk, but I would add some junk over it. It wasn't a good look. I think I looked like a big ogre. It's like it's not. I had abs because of my genetics, but my back was like you could take my love handles. Like, oh, there's a lot of love there, you know. So I don't think bulking is the right way of seeing it. It's like I think because right now with my coach, we're gonna do like we're gonna add some muscle for the Olympia, but we're gonna use carb rotation and super high days with it. So I think you need to get your body at a good pace where you digest food really well, because it's all about digestion. If you don't digest, food's gonna sit there. You're not gonna gain the muscle. You're gonna have a bloated waist. It's not good. You have a good digestion. You figure out your food, figure out the digestion, and then you start feeding them. You start feeding the body, and then you're gonna be always a little bit hungry. If you have the hunger and the food gets digested really good, you can start adding food and your metabolism goes up. You do carb rotation, and I think a lot. If you do like if you're not hungry, you ate your food. If you do a walk after your meal, like 10-minute walk, the strongman people do that to keep their appetites up. You walk 10 minutes outside on a treadmill, you're gonna get an appetite. So you gotta keep your appetite up. If you cut your appetite, you won't be able to eat to gain muscle. It's gonna be all weird. You're gonna hate food, and you know. And I did do force feeding when I did my bulk to like 330. Let's say call it bulk, but you know I would never do that again. I would never do that again. So the thing you gotta do if you want to stay lean, you just keep your metabolism really high, and then use super high days, and then cheat meals to like fill back up. So you get a little boost, but then you go back to your base diet, little boost, and then you try to see like you play with that, and you see if you can gain muscle. If you lose, and then if you have like a body fat, you gotta either increase your cardio, or sometimes because people they add sugar in the diet. Like too many sugar gonna get you fat, and also if you eat a lot of fats, it's gonna slow down your digestion. So me, I like it better low to moderate fat, high carbs, low sugar, and medium protein. Is pretty much what I've been doing, and then we rotate the carbs. So yeah, if you want abs and you know you want to bulk up at the same time, it's kind of like the best of both worlds. You know, if you haven't figured it out, DM me because You know, it's always a give and take because to gain weight, you have to eat more than you burn.
Right.
To lose weight and have ripped abs, you gotta burn more than you eat. It's counterproductive. So you gotta find like pretty much your maintenance weight, and then you with training and food, you gotta build your body. And then high days, you jack up your fullness a little bit, and then you go back to like you know.
It's a
But if
constant,
you
it's
just
a constant thing you have to kind of monitor, right? Constant.
because I think the time where I gain the most muscle and I look my best is when I do carb rotations, when I prep. And then I can really see the new size where you stop prepping and you actually add more food and a few cheat meals. You're like, oh, shit, I guess I'm way bigger than when I was because I was 268 this morning. The same when I was 275 yesterday. The 275 yesterday compared to the 275 before the prep. I mean, I'm way bigger now. Of course, there's more things involved, as we know. You know, in the pro level, you kind of have to take some stuff and stuff, but. Yeah, so there's that involved also. But with that, people also, if they think like bulk more is better, they're going to fight their health. So that's another thing, you know.
I want to ask you something because you know you got a drug addiction. So I want to get your opinion on marijuana in bodybuilding lifestyle. Is marijuana, you think, acceptable in bodybuilding lifestyle for appetite for different reasons? But do you think it's one can go with the other, or do you think it's people should not do that?
Well, in Canada, it's legal. And also, it's a natural plant. It's just the smoke might be bad for the lungs, but if you like get 2 edibles to sleep, I don't think it's I don't think it's bad for you. But the thing is, like, if you're addicted to it and it's ruining your life, it's making you lazy. Yeah, it is bad for you. If it's making you lazy, it makes your training like sloppy and just slow, and you don't have to drive to do anything. Yeah, if you can't stop, you're addicted to weed. Yeah, you're addicted. You're a weed junkie, I guess. But if you're just somebody who like takes edibles or vape to sleep or something, and you wake up, you feel like energized, and then you do your day, and then you sleep again at night, and everything is perfect in your life, I don't think it's a problem. I did hear that it can increase estrogen. I'm not sure if it's true or not. Yeah, I heard that, you know, but I don't know if it's true. I just heard that sometimes it can happen. So it depends, you know, like, I don't think it's bad. Personally, for me, it's like, you know what? If it's your own body, you're a grown man, you can do whatever you want. But then again, if you're suffering and you can't stop, then it becomes a problem, right?
For sure.
So I think people can do whatever they want as far as drugs. If you're not hurting anybody else and you're not suffering, you know, it's okay. But then if you're suffering and you can't stop, then it becomes a real problem.
It all comes down to your personal genetics and how your body reacts to things. Is what I really realize, you know, in life.
Yeah, but for weed, like you said, I think it's such a mild thing. The only thing that I've seen a lot, it makes people lazy. So if you're the thing is, because kids will smoke weed, your brain is not developed until you're 25. So if you take all this drug in your brain, it might hurt your development. You might become lazy forever. I don't know. So it's like the best scenario for drugs is like, don't do anything until you're 25 and be reasonable. But it's like kind of hard to do, right?
Of course. Last thing I want to ask you, Antoine. So last year you went on stage. I think you were guest posing in Toronto, I believe, and you put on those board shorts.
Yeah.
And you did your routine, and then you received backlash from the men's physique competitors or something like that, right?
From Jerry Bundia, personally, I think a lot of people. Yeah, I think a lot of people thought it was funny, and the reason why I did it is not to mock men's physique. I think it's great. It's a great division. They probably look the best to most people when you think about it. And but the thing that was funny is that I thought it was funny that a guy who's 275 or 280 pounds would try to look as good as them and just try to do the poses. So that's why I did it, because it was a funny thing in my head. And but some people got offended. But the thing is that that's not on me. That's their problem. You know, like. And my intentions were good, but sometimes in life I say jokes and stuff, even if my intentions are good. It's like I gotta be careful sometimes. But that I don't regret. I thought that was really funny. And I think most people can.
But do you think a lot of guys in the men's open division look down on men's physique competitors? I've heard that before.
We make jokes, but in reality, like we're all doing the same sport, and I'm happy there's a little different divisions because not everybody wants to be an open guy. Not everybody can be an open guy, so it just opens up the fitness industry to so many more people. Like in the classic bodybuilding, like shit, I don't want to get big like that, or I don't want to, whatever, eat that much. So they can do the classic bodybuilding. They like the style more. It's like, or bikini and wellness now and figure. And so there's a class for everybody almost. Like you can take any guy in the street, you put them on a hardcore diet for 2 years and hardcore training for 2 years. They could do men's physique, depending on their structure, right? A little bit, but it's like, so men's physique, I think, is a great class. It's pretty cool. And a lot of guys in men's physique, they go up in classic after that. They kind of level up and stuff. So it's interesting to see the difference in classes and stuff. And Flex going from 212 to the open. From Keon, he's also trained by my coach, Dorian Hamilton. Keon, he's going from 212, classic to 212. So it's pretty cool to have more than one division. And it just broadens the selection of like classes people can do. So, but yes, sometimes we make jokes, I guess, about men's physique because hardcore bodybuilders will do that because they don't train legs. Well, they don't have to. The legs are not showing even if they train them because I think they probably train them for calorie burning. But yeah, and just like it's like you're missing half the body. People are funny. We make jokes, but they can make jokes about us being fucking big meatheads and stuff. And for me, it's like I think as long as there's like good intention, we can make jokes, and I will never take anything personal. People can even like hate in my comments. Like it doesn't affect me. For me, I don't take anything personal. I just think, and if there's a good joke, that's something. If somebody's roasting me really good, I think it's pretty funny. Like if somebody's like has a really witty comment about something that I'm wearing or how I look, is like, oh yeah, that's pretty clever. I'm actually going to pin their comments at the top and reply a comeback comment. Yeah.
When you started out in bodybuilding, did you ever think about going into men's physique, like in the beginning of your career?
When I started, I was my first contest. I was 16 years old in 2004. There was no men's physique.
Yeah.
There was no class. There was no men's physique. It was just open bodybuilding. Yeah. So I was already when I was 20 years old, I was already 240 on stage. So I was like already over the weight limit, you know.